You know that eerie, unnatural quiet that takes over a massive supercenter after midnight? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the chilling reality of late-night retail through three harrowing first-hand survivor accounts. We're going to look closely at the data points of these specific encounters to understand exactly what happens when that quiet turns into an absolute nightmare.
It's so easy to think late night shopping is just a clever way to beat the crowds, right? But realize this. You might also find some of the more dangerous people in our society roaming the aisles of your local big box store. We're stepping into the eerie isolation of these giant, seemingly empty buildings to break down the anatomy of a stalker and the rapidly escalating threats that night shift workers and shoppers have actually faced. All right, let's jump right into story one, the dairy cooler stalker.
So our first account comes from Samantha. She's a 20-year-old college student working the 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift in a massive, virtually empty supercenter down in a small rural Alabama town. Now, her shift starts off completely normal at 10 p.m., just folding pants in the men's department. But by 11:30, things take a weird turn. A guy walks up and asks about a specific pair of jeans in a different waist size. After she tells him to check the rack, they make this super awkward eye contact. It seems like just your standard, maybe slightly uncomfortable retail interaction. But the night is really just getting started.
Fast forward to 1 a.m. Samantha has moved over to the appliances section to restock. She casually glances down the aisle and spots the exact same man just watching her. But here's the detail that'll make your skin crawl. His hands are completely empty. I mean, there's absolutely no way he could be shopping for 2 full hours and not pick up a single thing. Realizing she's probably being stalked, she decides to head over to the grocery section. Her plan is to lose him by hiding out in the dairy cooler, which is loud, isolated, and freezing cold, to restock crates of milk and yogurt. So she's in there, and these giant refrigerators are humming so incredibly loud they just drowned out every other sound in the store. Then, suddenly, over that deafening hum, the heavy cooler door bursts open. Samantha immediately ducks down, hiding behind a pallet of boxes. She finds this little gap in the boxes she's using for cover, and as she peeks through toward the door, her absolute worst fear comes true. It's the exact same guy from the jeans section trespassing right into the employees-only area. Samantha keeps her head down behind a heavy box of eggs, just praying he'll leave. When she finally dares to look up, the man is standing directly over her, wearing this terrifying smile. The second she screams, his smile vanishes. He reaches down and violently tries to clamp his hand over her mouth to muffle the sound. In a total panic, fighting for survival, Samantha literally shoves that heavy box of eggs directly onto his shoes. The sudden weight and the slimy mess make him stumble back just enough for her to sprint past him and run for her life. She manages to find a coworker named Bob, and incredibly, the stalker just casually strolls right up to them. He looks them in the eye and tells this bold-faced lie, claiming he's Tom from corporate checking on efficiency and that he was just making sure she wasn't slacking off. He even has the nerve to order her to finish the appliance section before he speedwalks away. But the terrifying reality? The next day, Samantha's manager confirms there was 0 corporate visit. Security footage later proved this random man had been systematically stalking a 20-year-old girl through the aisles for hours. Okay, let's move on to story 2, the Black Friday follower, where a threat escalates way beyond the store doors. Picture this. It's Thursday night, right before Black Friday. Our narrator is at the store around 11 p.m. hunting for a new laptop. By sheer luck, they manage to grab the very last promotional laptop right off the shelf. But this innocent move triggers an insane reaction. A huge, unkempt, and visibly unstable man marches up, aggressively demanding the computer. When the narrator nervously says, "I'm sorry, it's the last one," the guy just loses it. He erupts, screaming and making this massive scene in the middle of the store while our narrator just scrambles away to the checkout line. So, the narrator drives home to their house in a quiet, closed-off community with these big, long driveways. They figure, okay, I'm perfectly safe now. But that sense of security gets systematically torn apart. First, the exterior motion light flicks on outside. The narrator quickly locks the door. Next, their Cadillac's car alarm starts blaring in the driveway. They click it off with the key fob, but then they notice a strange car parked directly in front of their house. The nightmare didn't end at the store. It literally followed them home. Panicking, the narrator wakes up their mom to warn her someone is outside. The mother creeps up to the front door, looks through the peephole, and just gasps. When the narrator looks through, they realize with absolute horror that the massive, aggressive guy from the electronics section is standing right there on their front stoop. And then
Terrifyingly, the doorknob slowly starts to turn as this huge man tries to force his way inside. Things escalate so fast. The man starts violently pounding on the front door while the mother frantically dials 911. Just as the pounding stops, there's this massive, deafening crash. The downstairs den window is completely shattered. The family bolts upstairs in sheer terror. But thankfully, the police response was lightning fast. Sirens start wailing almost immediately. Cops climb through the broken den window and find this huge, unstable intruder hiding right behind the family's couch. They arrest him on the spot as he's screaming profanities, proving just how quickly a totally random retail dispute can turn into a targeted, violent home invasion. And that brings us to our third and final account. Story 3, The Man in Black. Now, the true terror of this story boils down to one incredibly chilling number, 3. It's July 9th, 2015. Our narrator is a college student working the weekend night shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And on this specific night, there were exactly 3 employees clocked into this cavernous building. The narrator and their 2 coworkers, Alvin and Baco. That is it. Just 3 people in a supercenter the size of a small neighborhood. While working completely alone in the electronics department, the narrator starts experiencing these bizarre, practically impossible warning signs. First, out of the corner of their eye, they spot someone dressed head to toe in black slipping past the aisle. But when they go to check, the aisle is totally empty. A few minutes later, crash! A heavy bicycle is forcefully knocked right off its hook. Then, this freaky, unnatural laugh echoes all the way from the paper aisle. And to top it all off, the sound of rapid footsteps starts seemingly circling them in the dead empty store. Realizing they're basically being hunted, they text their coworker Alvin to warn him and then make a break for it. They retreat deep into the warehouse section, fleeing straight into the employees-only bathroom. They lock themselves inside a stall, sit down, and just pray this hidden spot will keep them safe. But the horror just follows them right inside. They sit there frozen as they hear the main bathroom door slowly creak open and shut.
Who is that? But gets absolute silence. Well, until that same horrific laugh echoes out again. Then a pair of shoes steps into view, right outside the stall. The intruder leans in, pressing his face so tightly against the crack of the door that all the narrator can see is this single, unblinking eye, just staring back. Then he starts this rapid, unintelligible whispering. And because the bathroom is empty, the acoustics make the whisper echo off the tile walls, making it 10 times more unsettling. Totally desperate, with this absolute creep staring directly at them through the door crack, the narrator whips out their phone. They dial Alvin's number and purposely start talking as loudly as humanly possible, demanding he get to the warehouse bathroom right away. This sudden, loud noise finally breaks the tension. The guy steps back and bolts out the door. Maybe 20 seconds later, Alvin rushes in. But here's the thing. Alvin swears he didn't pass a single soul on his way over. So the 2 of them stick together for the rest of the shift, completely spooked. The narrator texts their boss about the whole terrifying ordeal. But the craziest detail comes the very next day. The boss goes into the security room to check the tapes, hoping to identify this guy in black. But he finds absolutely nothing. He texts the narrator back saying that every single camera screen from that night returned nothing but static footage. No video of a break-in, no proof of anyone trespassing, literally just dead static. Which leaves us with one seriously lingering question. We've seen physical stalkers and aggressive home invaders born from late-night retail encounters. But when the security cameras capture literally nothing but static, who or what was actually roaming those aisles that night? These 3 accounts prove that the isolation of the night shift completely changes the rules of reality. So next time you find yourself wandering through an empty supercenter after midnight, you might want to glance down the next aisle over. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes open out there.